What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling good. Hope you guys are feeling better than pretty much everything in the market yesterday. And some things overnight felt a little bit better till till I just hit let's go live on YouTube, and then it just, yeah, it's pretty much back for the most part. But we got Albert in the house. Good morning to you. Good morning to Bill, Cindy, Frank. Good morning to Keith, Kevin, Lauren, Lou, Lucius, Marius, Rob, Wendy's in the house. All my people in YouTube land, Clarice, JD, Kyle, M Sky, Wade, Sajed. Good morning to you as well. Man, worst selling day in the market since September 2022. So you have that. Question is, can we stop that? Could we just go up higher? Not a good open. That was our first open. We went through that yesterday pre-market. That was our first opening below our 200 since I think probably somewhere in like November of 2023. And the market did not take that news too well. They got a pretty not great open. It was a gap and go yesterday. Yesterday we did close under that 200. Today is day number two, opening underneath that 200 EMA. So the question is, can we actually put our foot on the brake and stop for a little bit, trade sideways? I don't think we have that yet, unfortunately. So not a great looking open. It looked a little bit better before. So the spot that I want to get above, so today's resistance is somewhere around 561.37. If we could start climbing above it, maybe there's a chance back to 50% retracement of yesterday's candle. If not, maybe we get like a strong bounce to like 567.76. If the market wants to do some wild things today, right now though, it does not look like that is the case. We got to make it through that first little resistance first. To the downside, the good news is we're in a little bit of a chop space with support all the way down to 560.37. Where do we get to? We decimated that one yesterday. So we could do that again today. The next one, 558. We can get through that one. 555.50. All right, so 555.49 we'll say is the support, and then one a little bit lower than that takes us to 552.80. So we'll see. We got a lot of room to the downside still. It does not look like we're buying the bounce. I'd still, at least for now, unless market wants to change and we start opening above this 561.37. I'd probably want to remain a little bit bearish today as we have some room and not a terrific, does not look like we're finding some support yet. Qs, it was a gap and go yesterday. Again, a little bit of wick toward the very end of the day. Nothing too crazy, but we are gapping below support from yesterday. Or are we gapping right into it? I don't know, Qs we could watch. We're gonna put this one on watch alert. We're right at yesterday's VPOX. So we have 473.51. If we start opening a little bit higher, there's a chance for a little rebound at open. Target would be decent amount of room to 475. I mean, decent amount of room on a normal day, but trying to make back some ground from yesterday, we are pretty far, pretty far away. Otherwise, we got 475.03 is the next hurdle. That's the next resistance we got to break through. If we can get through that one, we got a little bit more room back to like 476.77, but at least we'll probably be inside day at that point. If we start opening underneath, which right now looks like we're slightly above, but uh, right underneath 473.51, the next support that I got that hasn't really been messed with would take us down to 466.90. So let's try to stay above it. Let's do it as a team. Try to stay above that support. That's a lot more room to the downside than to the higher side, at least without resistance. But good start, at least for the Qs. Tech got absolutely clobbered. Some of the safety names, like the Coca-Colas, the MOs, the 3Ms, they were hanging out pretty well. Some of them maybe gave back some gains toward the end of the mass selling, but for the most part, they hung out a little bit to the stronger side. Last night after hours, everything was getting clobbered again. Bitcoin looked a little bit rough. For right now, I don't think we're out of the woods, but we do have a bullish engulfing candle or the makings of it. We do have some support resistance somewhere around 80,406. We are slightly above it. There's a chance maybe we could hang in there. I don't know. There's a chance. We ended up getting down to where yesterday? 76,000. For any confirmation, we're gonna have to start getting above some of those more recent ones, which right now is acting as resistance. So we got to get above 82, 265, and then really some kind of a close either today or tomorrow above 82. Let's call it 900. We'll go 82, 900. If we get some closing above there, we might have a little bit, at least retest into that 200, and then see if we could finally get some bulls together to get up past it. But it's trying. Bitcoin's trying, and again, tech got absolutely clobbered. It wouldn't surprise me if we get a tiny bounce somewhere in tech, and then maybe SPY is a little bit slower. That's the way it's kind of looking in the morning. LUV, yeah, so they're getting a gap up. I think there's a conference going on with all the airlines kind of reporting. I think for JP Morgan. So AAL, I think, had their numbers come out earlier, and I don't think the market really loved it. Yep, I was just kind of hanging out there. I think they were forecasting lower guidance or still rough times and not much reaction. LUV is looking a little bit different though. I don't know what exactly they said, but the market loved it. They were getting pretty clobbered after hours. They were down to $26. And that's a nice turnaround, at least for now, for LUV. Question is, what stock have we seen so far that has gapped up and held recently? I don't know. I don't know if we're in that marketplace. This might be a gift for some investors to take some gains in a choppy place, especially if they're starting to get margin called or on the verge of margin called, and then you have LUV in their portfolio giving them a little bit of gains. Maybe worth just taking it and can hold on to some of the other names a little bit longer, maybe. Um, so I don't think I would go bullish in this marketplace. Otherwise, it is a nice gap. Pretty good candle we're clearing. We are clearing a good pivot. Um, if this thing wants to come down and you want to try this thing bullish 31.11, I think you got targets probably up to about $32. So you got about 49 cents, 50 cents from here into that target. So not crazy risk reward. If you caught it earlier, congrats. That is a really nice reversal. UAL, you guys are telling me in YouTube land as well. UAL, that one might be a better one to focus on. Yep, not as big of a reaction as LUV. Still a gap and go, still covering, getting through a lot of volume. Biggest issue on this one is probably about 81.95. So still kind of a tight range. If you get through it, you have a nice trade, which will take you up to 86.58. So let's get UAL up there. I think that one maybe a little bit left in the bag. And that would be a good bounce off that 200. Good spot for some bulls to be looking at it. So I like it around there. Let's get that one a little bit higher. Good find. Good find. All right. We got Tesla on the list. Oh boy. Oh boy, Tessie. Yep. So I'm in. I'm fully into my position. I do have some puts that I took out for hedging the entire position, but all four levels are filled. Kevin got March 21st Tesla. You sold some puts, 215. Yesterday? Not toward the end of the day, I don't think. Otherwise, you took like a $7 move on Tessie. All that being said, if you get filled, you're getting filled at 215. So if you're comfortable with that price, oh, you got it last week. Okay. And you got about you got next Friday. Whew. Oh, they're gonna keep it close. You had a good move pre-market on this one. So you did have some buyers start to come in. I think Trump said he was buying a Tesla. I don't know if that was the pump or it just was down 15, 16% in one day. It was wild. And then just kept going after hours. We made it all the way down to, they're not showing it here, but Robinhood it was down to like 210. So, yeah, after hours, it was getting a little bit crushed. You had a nice pump into this 233. Good news for the Bulls and good news for Kevin is there is a little bit of support here on a small time frame, somewhere right where we're bouncing 222.33. We'd like to stay above that one. That would be our support. Do I see a wave count in here? It's probably the ABC. You might have your one, two, I don't know, maybe that's your three, four, five. Otherwise, even on this wave down, I think you got some kind of maybe one, two, three, four, five as well. A little consolidation at support. Might be an interesting look to try to go bullish. I think you're starting to get good risk reward on some kind of somebody wants to come in to buy a bounce. I would imagine. Emily says it's a nice price. I'm getting assigned shares Friday at 250 hedged with the put. Well, even after, yeah, I mean, I think my average price with all the buys, all the levels, I think I'm sitting at 247. So not bad. Not bad for now. But that's why I bought some puts for protection just in case. Tessie could still go wild. I mean, we're starting to get to an interesting location. I have down here at like 216.74. Should be some support. Otherwise, you do have some room. Maybe come back, retest this 286. You got 186.83 would be the next stop after that. We just have to find a little bit of buying. That's not the strongest candle to buy. The good news on this one though, and we're not there, we have to see what happens. But if with all that volume, that deep red selling, if we can start to get above this candle at all, then that might be okay. A little oversold. Some people probably getting maybe some margin calls. Some stops probably getting hit. You're getting some fear, panic in Tesla. And then if we could get some kind of close, I don't think it's going to be today, but if we could get a close above it, that should set us up for a decent little bounce. For right now, though, looks still a little bit to the weak side. To the higher side, or at least a level that we want to try to take out, which we were there pre-market already, would be 226.65. If we can climb above that one, it probably could have a decent bounce. I think your next spot would be, yeah, right back to this 230.18 probably for today. And then if sentiment just starts to flip pretty decently, this would also take us to about a 618 retracement. That would take us to about 239.60. Looking at the volume from yesterday on Tesla, so some of the intraday volume, it gives us a decent amount of move where we could get some kind of a stronger bullish bounce than we might expect. I think if we could start getting back above this 227.89, and we were looking good pre-market, but that's the last volume. Here's the last. I mean, they're so stretched on volume on this one. Let me see if we can bracket this out. So I would say we have a really strong volume here. So anything past this level, that would look rough, and we'll find out what levels that is in a second. Otherwise, we don't really have much until this one, and then I've got almost essentially nothing up to here. Maybe a little bit of chop in this range. So I think if we get a little bit higher, our big line in the sand on this one probably start breaking under that 220 again, 220.44, and I would just be short. Otherwise, if we could put this volume on the tail end of us, use that as support, I don't see much stopping us until this 226 range, which is what we talked about. If we could get some moves higher than 227.97, again, there's a little bit in here. Not much, but that would take us to like this 231.62 range, essentially where we were at pre-market about half hour ago. After that point, I've got nothing, and then you're looking at a spot that was never retested, and that takes me back to 239.97. So I'm gonna put that as my target for today. I think we could possibly make it happen. We have good risk reward. We just don't have any momentum on our side, and we have to see a few more things happen. But Tessie's definitely on the watch list, even for dead cat bounce. I kind of like it, and we'll see what happens from here. But so far, it's got to get some support right where we're sitting, and if we could maybe start getting a breakout somewhere above like 223.35, that would set us up into the next target, and we're just gonna keep following those up. See if we could hit that 239 today on Tessie. Let's see. We got Apple, AAPL. Yeah, markets in the right. Yeah. None of that pre-market bounce is holding yet. Oh boy. We got Apple is we're looking rough. That's not a good open. That's gonna help bring the market down. If so we have our 200 EMA sitting somewhere around 225.39, just like yesterday. SPY open right underneath that 200. And we do know what happened after that. So not a great location. We still got 13 minutes. Maybe we get some buying coming in, pushes above that. We still would have our next actual resistance somewhere around 226.48. To the downside, you have some support sitting at 223.45, but that's a big breakdown candle from yesterday. We're just sitting at the low end of it. Um, and that's the Bulls did bounce below this 200 before. Maybe they could do it again. I think they have to do it before that bell rings. Otherwise, I think Apple might be in a little trouble for today. We'll get this one higher to watch it. Let me see, Coin and then Nvidia. Well, we do have Bitcoin. It looks like it's trying to bounce again. It is sitting at a little bit of resistance, so that might help Coinbase, Mara, Hood, all that if it could stay green and if it can make that little extra push. Again, right now there's nothing really saying that we are. It just looks like a kind of a retest into resistance at this point. That being said, on Coinbase, really still not a good open. Risk to reward is there. If you are going to try to go bullish on this one and just try to catch a quick bounce, stops below yesterday's low, 176.45. If you're getting in somewhere close to where we're at now, 183.50, and then you got your targets to 194.13. So you can probably make that work, but not great sentiment. The only thing we're kind of holding into at this point is all the way from November 1st, and that's going to be somewhere around 181.19. So maybe stay above that, and you have a chance for your bounce on this one. Otherwise, not a great close. You even closed below all of that level. Targets to the downside on this one, I think you possibly, if the selling does continue, you're looking for about 166.03 for today if the low of yesterday can break. But you do have a little bit of risk reward to a bull side in this one. Um, how much momentum comes in and how quickly bulls are excited to buy Coinbase after a day that looks like that. It's gonna be hard to imagine, but maybe a stab at that one. Otherwise, if it runs up higher, I'd look to short it at that next resistance. Mark says falling knife. For Coinbase or the entire market in general, which I don't know which one you're referring to. We got Nvidia is at least holding a little bit of support. It is also hanging out above yesterday's VPOC, so let's use support of 107.26. If we could get, if we could maintain that, next immediate target would probably be this 108.01, 108.19. You got 109.35, so you have a lot of resistance before we even get back into this prior day. So somewhere, yeah, I think my extended target actually might be 108.07. I'll throw that as target and then extended. Like the bulls really come in today. We got 109.29. Don't forget, we also got CPI tomorrow morning, 8:30 in the morning, and then we also have PPI on Thursday, I believe. So we got two big reports. And I kind of think we need something that will start to boost morale of the Bulls a little bit, some kind of information or news that would actually start to flip sentiment. Right now, I think the only reason Bulls have any thought process of trying to buy is just because things are lower. And that's typically not the reasoning that you want to be buying something, especially when you just flip out the monthly chart and everything and everything looks like this. Bears have a lot more to kind of lean off of right now. We don't know how some of the tariffs are going to work. We don't know how the Ukraine Russia situation turns out. Taiwan news. There's a lot that we don't know yet, and that's the markets are going to love it. So let's see if we get some CPI and Jerome Powell to save the day. We got AVGO. Cindy says looks to be bouncing off the 200 and a small inverted head and shoulders. Uh, maybe. I think this is the inverted head and shoulders you're looking at. There's the left, that would be the head. This would be the right. It's there. It's there. I think we need confirmation on it, which means that we are going to have to get price action somewhere above this 192.32. That's going to be resistance for today. It was a gap and go from yesterday. Still did maintain inside that Friday candle, which a lot of things did not. So maybe a little extra strength on AVGO after good earnings. Earnings weren't bad, and then we'll see if we can kind of break on out of here. But um, yeah, maybe some decent risk reward. I would have my stop somewhere below 181.58. And if you could make the trade work, we could get them to like 178.33. I think that'd be a better spot. But uh, it looks a little sideways chop, but I do see the inverted head and shoulders if it could hold up, and then if we get that breakout. So let's give this one a little bit higher on the list too, just to see. We took a look at Nvidia. AMD was holding a little bit better than Nvidia yesterday. Pre-market it was also kind of running up. Right now it's actually running up a little bit as well. But looking at it from a daily perspective, it does look like we're just sitting into a resistance spot. So 98.30, and it is still inside day. So maybe a little bit of chop on AMD, but I kind of appreciated how well it was holding throughout all of yesterday. Nvidia was getting clobbered. This one obviously did lose, and not a great close on it. And this could just be a push into that retest. But for right now, it kind of actually held decently. TGT. GGT is looking rough still. I think that's still shortable, even though it's down. Let me just see what some targets are. I don't know how much room we have on it, but the first stop would be about 113.08, and then I think the next stop somewhere back to this 110.62 zone. So I'd have to imagine that would be my target for today. Definitely a lot of selling into this, but quite the little gap down. We're still inside that gap down high wave candle, but we are making lower VPOCs. And then today we're opening below yesterday's VPOC. So I think this one probably depends on when the bell rings, where this thing's at. If it's above 113.70, I'd sideline it for now. I don't think I'd be a buyer of target yet. If we open underneath it, I think you have a play for the short side of things. And if you get down to the 110 zone, the 100 zone, I think it's decent for target for a longer term, somewhere in that range. They do got some divvies. They are still target, so they have a Colt, which is nice. People love target. Don't know why. I haven't figured it out. Come on, TraderView, get my target up there. Can you go faster? The bell's gonna ring soon, guy. All right, we'll get it up here. All right, let's see what else we got. Buy dividend stocks and forget until end of year. I'd go one further. Buy good quality, Leonard. Good quality companies. If they have a dividend, great. Um, but really the time to buy the divvies was really last year when nobody wanted them. Like if you already had some tech built up, great. And then if you're talking long term, I wouldn't be holding it just for a year. I'd be holding it for 10 years, quite honestly. But yeah, last year you're already starting to see a lot of the MOs move, a lot of the other things. I actually think this might be a decent year to invest in some of the tech that has ran absolutely wild. I don't know if today's the day to do it, but I think if you get those pullbacks, um, I think we will start getting some more reasonable pricing on tech, which is just rampage the last 2 years. And even though everybody didn't want it, or everybody wanted it at that price, they were still high. So if you were patient, you're not in a lot of the tech yet. I think 2025 will be the year to actually buy tech. I don't expect it to really perform that great, but going forward, another year out, 2 years out, you're probably going to find some decent pricing on some of the tech. So yeah, for this year, I kind of like some of the tech names. I think the last 2-3 years was a better spot to be heavily getting into some of the divvies that just didn't move and didn't really do much because there was no reason to get into it when tech was going crazy. So yeah, Just try to buy low, sell high. Benjel says Nvidia and Apple is the best stocks in the market. I don't know about Apple. I think it's still pretty high up there. Valuation on Nvidia has come down a little bit to the point where I kind of don't mind it. But if I could get around the $94 zone, I like Nvidia too. Apple, I think, has to pull back a lot more for me to be interested at these levels. It's just they don't have growth. They're just so massive already, but solid companies. Uber not looking great. Really not looking great. Only thing you got here is the 100. We're slightly below it. I think your next stop down on Uber is 69.83. That could be a quick move out of the gate for Uber. Let's get that one higher. See, I think it's working quicker now. I got to put the mouse in like a certain spot, and then it goes. There we go. There we go. And then it flies. Oh, go, go, go. Yeah, you could do it. Get. Oh, still kind of slow. Still kind of slow, to be honest. Hood was the next one on the list. So Hood is going to be a little bit like Bitcoin, I think. Definitely a big, massive sell-off day yesterday. Again, if you're sitting here and you liked it at 48 because you thought it was going to 70, 35 looks much more appealing. Keep that in mind, bulls. Usually usually when charts look like this though, nobody wants to buy it. But if it gets back to 60 again, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, we love Hood again. So we'll see. But momentum stock, any of the momentum stocks, including the Palantirs, the Soundhounds, all those guys, they're getting clobbered recently. So we have to kind of wait for momentum to start kicking back in again. Otherwise, this would be that catch the falling knife. You do have a little bit of hopium at probably 34, 31. If you can survive that zone, yeah, I don't know. You have a lot of chop on both sides. Resistance for today, if this thing gets bought up, which I think it could, as soon as that bell rings, if it did not do so already, pre-market, if that's not going to count, you got $37 as resistance, and then to the downside, you're gonna have yesterday's lows. If that could break, I think it could. Your next immediate spot, 34.95. I think that can break, and that would take you into like the 33.71 for today on Hood. So we have some more room on that one. Best if it bounces first. Other than that, we're about to have that morning bell ring. So in YouTube land, make sure you guys will hit that like and subscribe button if you have not done so already. Be safe. We'll see how this market comes and goes today. Tomorrow's gonna be a big day with CPI. We'll catch you guys then. Later, guys.